Justice Scalia's seat on the high court to be filled right away, the Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid says, and I'm quoting now, "With so many important issues pending before the Supreme Court, the Senate has a responsibility to fill vacancies as soon as possible. It would be unprecedented in recent history for the Supreme Court to go a year with a vacant seat." The Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy is the ranking Democrat of the Senate Judiciary Committee. He's joining us now from Burlington, Vermont. Senator, first of all, do you agree that it's almost impossible to get to that 60-vote threshold?
Well, I don't know where this 60 votes comes from. The Constitutional law says the majority, and that's 50 plus 1 in the.
But if they decide to filibuster, you need 60.
No, if they decide to filibuster, it would be totally unprecedented. I mean, I think Clarence Thomas had a close vote, but certainly less than 60 votes in the Senate. We've had a lot of nominees less than 60. I think what we have to do is stop looking at some of these things. The Republicans are talking about the Republican playbook, not what the country needs, but what the Republican playbook says. This is the playbook we should follow, the Constitution of the United States. And Constitution makes it very clear. There's a vacancy, the president nominates somebody, and then the Senate votes them up or down. That's always been the way. You know, we've only had one time in this country that we've had a vacancy for a year in the Supreme Court, and that was Civil War times, and certainly that was a entirely different time. We don't want to use that precedent. Heck, when the Democrats were in charge of the Senate, and it was Ronald Reagan's last year, we put through his nominee to the Supreme Court. It's been done, I think, 7 or 8 times since the beginning of the country. It is totally irresponsible to suggest you'd go would actually amount to 15 or 16 months.
But let me just, you're the ranking Democrat of the Judiciary Committee. If the Republicans, 1 or 2 or 3 of them, decide to filibuster, you would need 60 votes. Getting from 46 to 60, that would seem almost impossible, yes. Right?
Yeah, you're right. And they could. That would be irresponsible. We've had show filibusters before, might vote on somebody for an hour and then go on to it just to express displeasure with the nominee. But in the 40 years I've been there, nobody has actually worked seriously to block a vote on a Supreme Court nominee of either Republicans or Democrats. It would be irresponsible. And I heard one Republican say, well, we don't have time. Oh, come on. The Republican leadership has set up more recesses, more vacations this year than I've seen in my years in the Senate.
Let me ask you another question.
Just cancel one of those and do this.
What if Senator Grassley, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, just says, you know what, we're not going to have any hearings, and delays it like that?
Well, he has that power. I mean, Orrin Hatch killed, I think, 65 or 70 of Bill Clinton's judges, an unprecedented number, more than ever done before in history, by just refusing to have hearings on them when he was chairman. It's one of the reasons why I did an unprecedented number of hearings for George W. Bush to try to break that cycle and bring it back to the way it should be.
It may be in the weeds, but there's been some speculation that the president, in his frustration in his final year in office, could just try to do a recess appointment for a Supreme Court justice. Is that realistic?
That shouldn't even be a question. The question should be, are the United States senators, all of whom get good salaries, good staffs, good offices, have a lot of time, are they going to do the duty? Are they going to do what their oath of office calls for? Are they going to show responsibility to the country and vote, have a real vote on a presidential nominee? Now, I know a lot of them are afraid to, because they're afraid it might hurt their reelection. So what? We all cast difficult votes.
54 Republicans, 44 Democrats, 2 independents. Let me quickly play a little clip. This is Ted Cruz, who knows a lot about the Supreme Court. Once clerked for the Supreme Court, was a Solicitor General in Texas. Listen to what he says the responsibility is right now.
The Senate's duty is to advise and consent. You know what? The Senate is advising right now. We are advising that a lame duck president in an election year is not going to be able to tip the balance of the Supreme Court, that we're going to have an election.
All right, go ahead and respond to Senator Cruz.
Well, he also said that we've never had a vote on a Supreme Court nominee in a presidential election year. Of course, we've done it a dozen times, the most recently for President Reagan. He's running for election. He'll say a whole lot of things. Everybody in those debates is saying a whole lot of things. The Constitution says one thing, and that is the president shall nominate, and then the Senate shall give advice and consent. Let's have the nomination. Let's have the courage to stand up and vote. Put your name on how you vote and let the American people know how you're voting. A lot of them don't want to do that. I don't think that's being very senatorial.
Senator Patrick Leahy is the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee. Senator, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.